To harmonize a melody means to put a chord accompaniment with it. Say we have a C. It's the job of the composer to come up with a background chord that makes the C sound the best. In order to do this, you would need to know the chord that contains C. The most obvious is the C major triad. If the song is in the key of C, this would be the tonic chord. The inversion is up to your creative preference. C also appears in the F major chord, which is the subdominant in the key of C. The final triad option is A minor, the submediant in the key of C. Those are the three simple triad options for harmonizing a C. Composition usually starts with the piano. From there, the possibilities are endless with the knowledge of transposition. You could have a flute melody in mind with a clarinet trio as the accompaniment, or a trumpet melody with a low brass accompaniment. I'm not saying that the piano is the only place to begin composing, but it's most definitely the easiest. Because of this, the harmony would be played with the left hand. This is our C example is written as it makes sense to be played on the piano. Remember how much the exercises from former lessons stressed that the dominant is often a seventh chord, and even more so, the fifth is often omitted? Here's an example of just that. In real music, the composer can change harmonization chords as often as they would like, although it's usually on strong beats. As long as the note with a chord changed aligns with a chord with a melodic note in it, it will sound just fine. There is an exception to this, but we'll get there later in this unit. Here is a good example of harmonizing a melody in a major key, just like in lesson 64 that I did very quickly on the song Camptown Races. It only needs C, F, G, and A minor. Let me explain that a little. This G and this E are the only notes in the measure, so G and E both fall on the C major chord triad, and this A falls with the F major triad, and D is in the G major triad. I decided for creative reasons to not make this a C major chord, but to make it an A minor chord, just to not be boring, just to mix it up a little. Listen again. Broken chords are simply another, more interesting alternative to blocked chords, in which the accompaniment notes are not played at the same time. Here is a simple C major blocked accompaniment. Here is a simple broken accompaniment. Here is a even fancier broken accompaniment. And here is a more arpeggiated example. Notice that all of the above options don't include any notes outside of the tonic chord of C major. Otherwise, it would not be marked as a Roman numeral 1. I'm going to show you the Camptown Races song accompanied by broken chords and arpeggios. And I'm going to clarify the difference between a broken chord and an arpeggio. So I've filled in broken chords and arpeggios for the same chord progression as the first version. As you can hear, it's very different. And the book says that the difference between arpeggios and broken chords is that arpeggios are in order from lowest to highest or highest to lowest. They go consecutively. In any other broken chords, it's not necessarily the case. So this starting is an arpeggio. Once we get in the second measure, they're no longer in order. So it's just a broken chord. G, B, D, that's in order, so it's an arpeggio. G, B, D, again, C, E, G, arpeggio, broken chord, broken chord, arpeggio. When the notes of a chord are played sequentially, one after another, it is called an arpeggio. The word arpeggio comes from the Italian arpeggiare, which means to play upon a harp. An arpeggio may be extended to an octave or more. The best example of a famous piece that relies heavily on arpeggiated accompaniment is Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. At the end of the screencast, I'll put the piece in the presentation. Here is the exception I was talking about earlier. Sometimes non-chord tones make music more exciting. Like this excerpt that I made up. B is not part of the C chord. Since it returns to the note that was before it, it is considered a neighboring tone. You always come back home after visiting your neighbor. D is not part of the C chord either. Since the pattern is C, D, E, C passes through D to get to the next chordal note, which is E. Friends, today I'm going to show you how to compose a one-phrase melody. Let's keep it simple by staying in the key of C. So any melody usually starts on the tonic, which is the key of C, would be C. And it's up to the composer what comes next. I like to do 1-5 or 1-4. Let's pick 1-5 this time. Tonic, dominant. Let's do a subdominant, which is in the key of C, F. And because this excerpt is 4 bars, you always end on the tonic. So let's label these. Roman numerals 1, 4, 5, 1. Okay, now for the fun part. Let's start on the third of the chord. And stay in the chord. I'm doing whatever I want within the chord. Okay, I'm getting bored in the chord, so I'm gonna add a neighboring tone to it. E, C, G, F, G. Let's see if we like that. I do. Okay, let's listen again and see if we come up with any ideas of what to do next. The 5 chord is G, so we could do B, and in composing, rhythmic repetition makes it a catchy melody. So let's stick with quarter, 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 eighth, eighth. I'm feeling it a B. B, G, D. Again, I'm just making this up, judging from what I know about music theory. Chord tones are good, neighboring tones are good, passing tones are good. Let's do a passing tone. D is in the 5 chord, and B is in the 5 chord, so C passes in between them. And I already said that rhythmic repetition was very good. Okay. This is a neighboring tone. And this C, since it's not in the G chord, is a passing tone because it's in between D and B. Okay, let's listen. I like it. Let's keep going. What could we do for the F chord, the subdominant of C major? C. Mix up the rhythm a little bit. A little bit's okay. F. I added a neighboring tone, that E. I have an idea. A. B. And let's end on C. This is a passing tone, this B. Let's listen to the finished melody. Awesome. And then from here, we could be creative with the left hand chord progressions. So I like arpeggiation, but by no means do we have to. C, E, okay, for the 5 chord, it's perfectly fine to not be as creative with the left hand. In this case, it's the harmony because it's just background. It's not supposed to be as apparent as the right hand, which is the melody. This is the 3 notes of the G chord. Okay, and F is F, A, and C. Let's do something different at the end. C, E, G, E, and half note C. Okay, you ready for the whole thing? It's as simple as that. If you know your chord progressions and have the knowledge of passing and neighboring tones and chord structures, which we have already learned, all that stuff, you can write your own melodies.